before you enlisted, you had dropped out of school after 3/4.
Yes, my father ran out of money, and he couldn't send me to Wilberforce University any longer, so I had to drop out of school and start shoveling coal at the Cincinnati Water Works. I shoveled 65 tons a day of coal there, and while I was doing that, World War II started, and all of the patriotism came to the surface. The fact that I was black wasn't a factor. I was a citizen, and of course, I don't believe that citizenship should be selective. And I joined the Army. Now, based upon the Army Air Corps, based upon my test scores, they said I should be in the newly formed and forming Black Air Force at Tuskegee. I went through Tallahassee, Florida, to Harding Air Field in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where Southern is, and went to meet up with General Davis and the other squadrons in Selfish Field, Michigan, outside of Detroit. I trained at in Alpena, Michigan, and some of the other places for gunnery practice. Went overseas, traveled and fought up and down the boot of Italy. And then, of course, it was just a job. When we came back home, I had thought that we would be accepted as equal to others, but obviously the system, the preferential system at the time, was that they preferred German prisoners to American officers, black officers, and we were very disappointed at that after we had done that. It turned out later that when you looked at our record, that the entire German Air Force was not able to penetrate our protective process to get to a single one of the planes. That means we did a job.
You did the job.
So we fully expected to be honored for that, or to be respected for it. But the system was still in effect, and German prisoners were able to go into dining halls and rooms, and we American officers, quote unquote, were not able to do it.
The program, as far as I guess being the initial program at Tuskegee, did they want you to fail?
Oh, absolutely. When we look back at it, what the program, the restrictions, the pressure from people who didn't want us to get through. They simply didn't believe that blacks could operate complex equipment. And so when they compare our records to the non-minority record or the non-black record in which we excel, what they forgot was that each time they put a restriction on us, they would flunk out our people on the slightest matter. They made us be the most excellent people that we could be in order to get through. It was just tougher to get through. So therefore, what they got was the cream of American blacks as compared to your average non-black person. And after that, they sent us to fly in Africa when the main war was in Europe. We just practiced longer and flew longer and better. They give us the worst planes to fly, the poorest equipment, and we went through all of that. Now, after we did that, an average German pilot might have had 6 months training, 9 months training. And we were up against them, and we were, we knew our planes, we knew how to fly. And so therefore, we really had an advantage in the process.
There was a time where you were just constantly training for about 2 years. Who was a force in actually getting, black soldiers to be able to actually participate in World War II? Because I know at the beginning it was just a matter of enlisting them for numbers and just training. What factors led to you actually being able to get fights in Italy and, be able to perform, show what you could do?
Well, essentially, President Roosevelt saw 2 years ahead of time, and we were going to have to join the forces against Germany. And so therefore he sent out a call to all colleges to start training young men for this particular battle. Now, when the time came to assign it to blacks, then certain of our black leaders said, hey, what about blacks being trained? Randolph of the Pullman Porters, the NAACP, the Urban League, they all stepped up and said and put pressure on the government to have a black Air Force, if you will. And Mrs. Roosevelt made a symbolic ride with one of the airmen. And when they did that, that meant that she trusted her life to the ability of blacks to fly. And that put a lot of pressure on them to do it. Essentially, though, after they sort of parked us in Sicily, rather in North Africa, they were shooting down so many of their B-17s and B-25s, and the horrible rates of casualties that they finally had to go and use us. And that's what brought us into the main fray. And after we got there, and we got some better planes, well, as they say, the rest is history.